My association with SACAC goes back 9 years now. And in those 9 years, I've had the privilege of teaching and learning with more than 300 students that have passed through the doors of the audio department here in various courses, given the one-year course, which is the audio engineering and music production program, the short-term courses, the certificate course in music production, the music business management course. We at SACAC have a very clear vision of what we are trying to inculcate in the students and what we're trying to give to the students. And it makes the job easy when you're looking at it from that point of view and keeping literally the content of the course within the parameters of creating that which, as per the vision, it's limitless and boundless. So it actually makes the job easier to have a course content designed specifically to evolve and to move with the times. Regards to what I teach during the course, it's a very interactive year. I think there are only a few sessions where, of course, we know the course flow and how the syllabus is supposed to move through the year, but in terms of the sessions that happen, it's very interactive and it's very dynamic. I am literally feeding off the energy of the students. I know the content that I have to cover, and it's a luxury to spread it over a year. So you don't really have to rush through anything, and you can address the individual and specific needs for almost every student. It's not, I won't call it spoon feeding, but it's literally diving as deep as they intend to go. It's an interesting thing to think about the ideal student or the ideal profile of the student that that can join the audio engineering and music production program. And if I was to think this through, I think anyone who has a proclivity to persevere through their own shortcomings really fits the profile. If I was to talk a little more about it, it's it's all fun and games when you think that something is your hobby, and then when you get into it with, you roll up your sleeves and you dive in, you realize that there are a lot of things which you possibly are not naturally good at. You're not naturally adept to take to it. So you have to work through that. And someone who has the ability to sit through and constantly just chip away at their own deficiencies and make them into their strengths, that is the ideal profile. In terms of the diversity in the classroom, we do try and approach it from a side where we try and get the maximum amount of opinions inside a classroom. There might be people who have zero musical background. There might be people who stem from a classical background, from a performing musician aspect. Some people who just admire the engineering aspect of it, and some people who are trying to find between this melange of options what they can pick out and what they can become. And we are trying to serve that need. The class strength 20 at its maximum, 2022, that we try and put together for every batch requires all these checkboxes to be ticked, because otherwise, uh, I know it sounds a little high and mighty to come from this opinion, but we have rejected more people than than we have taught, because it's better to be sure that this is not going to work out either for them, because we are not what they're looking for. It's not a short-term gain. It's not a short-term goal. It's something that you need to embrace and spend time with for a year, and then hopefully, before you know it, it is with you for the rest of your life. Even though the courses running at SACAC for the audio department might vary from 1 year to 2 months to 3 months, the common thread that binds all of them together is that once you're at SACAC, you have access to every resource that is common across the audio department. So the students of the short-term music production course get access not only to a full-fledged lab, the recording studio every once in a while, but also to every workshop and every guest faculty session that happens at SACAC. And in a sense, you become a part of the SACAC family, the SACAC network, which opens up a multitude of resources for you, a multitude of doors. and you are free to pick any one of those on your choice. When we started the audio program 9 years ago, we just had the one program, AE&MP, which was running. And it's a one-year program. It's very demanding. There are a lot of commitments that the student has to live up to. And you realize that there's a certain demographic and there is a certain keen, honest student that just does not have that kind of time to devote. A year is a long time to ask out of somebody's life. And once we accepted that idea, the need arose to design more programs which could be concise, shorter versions, or just independent standing programs on their own legs. And out of that, we implemented the CCMP course, which is a 3-month program which is devoted to making sure that the student gets a keen insight into the world of music production and not necessarily take a deep dive. But then it takes you to that point where if you so choose to take this further, you are armed enough to take on a very calculated and educated decision in what you want to pursue in the line of audio. In the same vein, the music business management program addresses a need for students who don't necessarily want to be creative artists, but they want to feed the supply line of creative artists, because as much as art relies on patronage, it also relies on execution of certain management moves. And there is a big vacuum in the industry in its current format of people who are just adept at not only understanding but executing the need of this of what the artist requires from a particular publishing house or a label or a vendor or an event management company, what have you. And there is absolutely nothing in the country currently which serves that need. So in that vein, the music business management program is hopes to bridge that gap. In the coming years, we are working towards more such programs, not running for a year, but shorter programs which will serve very specific needs to what not only what the industry needs, but also students that are seeking out that program and it's not available